Okay, Mackenzie, before we start our story today, I'm going to give you some background information to help you better understand the story, okay? So a long time ago, before people knew much about science to explain how the world walked, they wondered about nearly everything, just like we do today. But they didn't have a lot of answers yet. So they might say, the wind is blowing from the east. Yesterday it was blowing from the west. Why doesn't the wind always blow in the same direction? They might look up at the sky and go, why don't those stars fall down and hit us on our head? They might wonder, why is the ocean over there and the land over there? How come everything isn't dry land or all ocean? They just didn't know. So sometimes it took a long time for them to figure out the right answers. Someone would learn one part of the answer and someone else would add something to it. This would go on until eventually someone figured out the answer. But learning a bit at a time like this could take hundreds or thousands of years to figure stuff out completely. And it's still going on. It's still like that. We're still learning new things based on what people before us figured out. This is one reason it's so important to be able to read and write, so we can learn what other people have learned and tell other people what we've discovered. Way back in time, one explanation that some people came up with was that the world was planned and created by powerful beings called gods and goddesses. So gods were male and goddesses were female. So gods were men, goddesses were women. They believed that each god and goddess had power over a part of the universe. These stories help people to feel less confused about their world. So the people in Mesopotamia had a religion, so something that they believed in, where there was a bunch of different gods and goddesses. So they believed that all of the gods and goddesses worked together to make the world how it was. So a religion where people believe that there's a lot of different gods and a lot of different goddesses is called polytheistic. Okay? So we're going to learn about the polytheistic religion of Babylon. Okay? Let's get started with our story. It's called Religions of Babylon. One day, Wared and his older son Amor were walking in the vast city of Babylon. Amor said, I guess Babylon is just the greatest city in all the world, Father. Just look at the palace of King Hammurabi. I don't suppose any other king has a palace as grand as this one. And although the city is busy and noisy and dirty, our temples are so calm and beautiful. Mackenzie, the temples are where the priests live, so they eat and they get dressed and then they pray to the gods and goddesses. Yes, my son, replied Wared. The temples are very beautiful, and the priests in charge of our religion make sure the temples stay that way. After all, we want our gods and goddesses to be happy. Why, if the sun god grew angry with us, he might not come up in the sky tomorrow. That certainly would not be good, Amor said. Then we could not grow food or see each other clearly. And thank goodness for Marduk, the god of our city, Wared said. He protects us and makes sure we live well. In return, we must be sure to praise him and give thanks for all that he does for us. Let's go and visit the temple of Marduk. Amor happily agreed to go to the temple of Marduk, for it was one of his favorite parts of the city. Even from a distance, they could see their lofty ziggurat rising up. They could see the lofty ziggurat rising up many feet into the air. That's what they called this type of building, the way that they built it with like these kind of steps on it. They called it a ziggurat. Can you say that? Ziggurat? Its wide steps climbed up and up to the small temple on top. So you got all these big steps. And there's the temple right up there. Only the king and the priests of Marduk were allowed to go up there, but anyone could visit the base of the tower. Remember, my son, Warad said, there are many gods and goddesses besides Marduk that we must give thanks to. I know, Father, Amor sighed. We believe that each god and goddess has power over a specific part of the universe. One for the sky, one for the water, one for all the plants growing out of the ground. I'm just glad that Marduk is the god of our city and that we have this grand temple for him. So these are what they believe some of their gods and goddesses looked like, Mackenzie. This is what they thought they looked like. There's one, another one, another one, another one. After admiring the temple for quite a while, Warad and Amor noticed the light in the sky was fading. Warad said, the sun god has done his work well for the day and is ready to rest. It's time for us to rest as well. Then, turning away from the temple of Marduk, Warad and Amor started home.